Hello dear aspirants, I am 𝐞𝐥𝐻𝐿, your mentor from Prepp IAS who is trying to make your newspaper reading easy and effective. So this is 4th February newspaper and I am bringing the must read articles of 4th February. I want to apologize for bringing it in delay because I was working on how to provide you PDF of this content also, which will be provided to you this weekend of the entire week. Also, we are posting daily 5 MCQs of the current affair that we are discussing on our Telegram channel. So that will help you to revise the current affair from prelims perspective. Okay. So let's start with today's newspaper. So this amid the first, so the front page, amid global tumult, rupee breaches 87 against dollar. So this is more important from prelims point of view. Okay, so what is happening? The dollar index, the dollar index is rising very fast. The dollar index is pretty high, and that's why rupee is depreciating. So, so that has effect on exports and imports. So a financial official is saying that India has never used exchange rate policies to promote export. This is not our policy. This is not sustainable also. We want to believe in strengthening our export competitiveness, okay, through better quality, right? So they are not stressing that India, about the exchange rate policy. So there are 3 types of exchange rate policy that you should know: flexible, floating, and managed. And please write in the comments if you know which kind of this rate policy India is following, which kind of exchange rate policy India is following. Please write in the comments below. Okay, so you should know the relation between dollars, rupee, and the impact on export and import. Okay, let's move to the next article. So rupee depreciating makes our import expensive, and exports, exports become better for us. Imports become expensive, and it is, exports give us more money. Right, so that's why people prefer it. Let's move to the next article. This article, Green and Clean, it's a small article which is talking about the initiatives taken for climate change initiatives. Okay, so they're talking about PM Kusum scheme that was launched in 2019. Okay, so the scheme envisaged having off-grid solar irrigation pumps and grid connected solar plants on fallow farmlands. Okay, so although the program went fine, but you should know about these programs that were launched in last few years. India is also pledging to produce half of its energy requirements from renewables in about 5 years from now. Okay, and 2021 budget we started a very important scheme, which is PLI scheme for advanced chemistry cell manufacturing to augment India's grid-scale battery storage capacity. Okay, so production-linked incentives to encourage battery making, which is very important, right? The India's grid-scale battery storage and solar, and also there was production-linked incentive for solar photovoltaics modules. So in our, we want to achieve renewable energy targets, right? So for that, but what was happening? A lot of solar modules were being imported from China. So India also wanted to reduce its dependence on China and wanted to create its own solar photovoltaic cell manufacturing. But what happened when we increased the basic custom duty to reduce the import dependence on China? The solar power installations and the solar power in itself the cost became higher. Okay, so the solar energy became more expensive. Right, so while renewable constitute 46% of India's total installed capacity, even now 70% of power still comes from coal's output. Okay, so we need there's a need for grid scale battery storage technology to augment India's renewable outputs as intermittent renewable energy production. In this budget, what government has done? It has announced that it will exempt 12 critical minerals and 35 capital goods from basic customs duty. Okay, but reducing dependence on China for energy transition would require India to actively manufacture, all the materials that is required, the semiconductor, the critical minerals, all that is important. So India has to show leadership in formulating a critical minerals framework. We have launched National Critical Mission recently. We have discussed it in the session, right? So that is socially and environmentally just. This is what this article is about. Let's move to the next article. This article talks about shipping industry. We have under our syllabus GS paper 3, ports are mentioned. So shipping is a related thing, ports and shipping, right? So what are the issues with ports and shipping, what we are doing about it, what are, how to solve it further, and what this budget has done for shipping, right? So the government of India's flagship program was Sagar Mala, right, which was very important and which had several components like port modernization. So 50% of the budget went to port modernization, more than 35% for port connectivity, around 10% for port-led industrialization, and remaining 5% for between coastal community development infrastructure for coastal shipping and inland water transport. Okay, so the article is giving some data that India's economy of GDP has risen from around 153 trillion dollars in 2016-17 to 272 trillion dollars in 2022-23, around 43% growth from 2016-17 to 22-23, and 7% annual growth rate. Okay, so 7% growth was there in the GDP from 2016 to 2022. So, and similarly, India's exempt rate, the export-import trade, also risen, and it was growing at annual growth rate of 12.83%. But shipping industry grew very less, only 2.85% per year. Okay, so GDP grew by 7% average, exempt rate grew by 12.83% average, and the shipping, right, the cumulative growth marginally increased. The cargo handled at major ports has marginally increased, just 2.85%, and number of vessels handled at these ports actually declined. So shipping industry is not doing as good as it was expected. Okay, so major concern is that the most of the fleets of India are aging. The average age is around 21 years, which is too much, right? So Indian shipping has to continue to foreign flag vessels and carrying Indian exempt cargo. And that's talking about multiple challenges that India's exempt trade is facing, that is lack of capital, high borrowing costs, short loan tenures, right, industrials, the limited understanding of cyclical nature, delays in repatriating funds for ship acquisition, several such things. Okay, so ships registered in tax havens or flags of convenience benefit from easier access to capital, lower borrowing cost, and lenient regulatory standards. Okay, so there are a lot of inadequate infrastructure, several issues that are mentioned here. You can read the entire article. This article is important. Maybe one question in GS3 mains paper can come about the shipping only. This article can almost answer the entire question, right? So the Indian National Ship Owners Association had asked for several things, like to ease capital constraints, eliminate discriminatory tax policies. They asked for maritime development fund and in granting infrastructure status to ship. So this year the government in budget has agreed to their demands, and they have brought this 25,000 crore maritime development fund. Okay, and infrastructure status for large vessels has been given, a 10-year extension of the basic custom duty exemption on shipbuilding spares and equipment. So these things have been given since shipping was facing a lot of issues. So long-term finance with lower interest rates they are further demand. These things have been done, but there are more suggestions by the editor that long-term financing with lower interest rate, India needs new shipyards to build large vessels, and MDF, this Marine Development Fund, Maritime Development Fund, should be strategically utilized to attract external commercial borrowings at lower interest rates to help bridge the funding gap. Okay, so this is article on shipping. Let's move to the next article. So Maritime Development Fund, infrastructure status to large vessels. These are the points you should keep in mind. Now this article is talking about employment that government should provide. Which kind of employment is good, right? The kind of jobs needed for the Viksit Bharat goal. Okay, so 2024 budget had introduced the previous year's budget employment linked incentive. Earlier we were talking about production linked incentive. This is employment linked incentive. So if the companies are doing good from employment point of view, they'll get certain incentives under the Prime Minister 5 scheme initiative to create 4 crore jobs over 5 years. Okay, with the central outlay of 2 lakh crore. So Prime Minister internship scheme. Prime Minister's internship scheme was one of the employment linked incentive scheme that was brought, and which achieved a certain success. Okay, so but more such schemes more such initiatives are required for such job. So this writer is saying we should find job in climate resilient area. Okay, because he's saying that because of climate change, India is already suffering an income loss of $159 billion in 2021. This is a data that you can use. That climate change is costing us $159 billion in 2021. Reserve Bank of India has said that India is going to face adaptation cost of nearly $1 trillion by 2030. So when we'll be working on this adaptation area, a lot of jobs can be created out of it, right? So higher levels of fundings and all is required. So they must create incentivized job which is climate resilient. Okay, so one job that he's advising is state subsidized e-rickshaws in about 6 lakh villages to create about 2 million jobs that could be given to women, especially so for last mile mobility. Other job he's talking about is compressed biogas plants should be set up, that will also provide job to several people. Then he's saying that 500 gigawatt non-fossil energy capacity target to create over 1 million jobs, right? And decentralized rooftop solar, which can be seen more labor intensive. He's also talking how artificial intelligence resilience should be developed. McKinsey Global Institute show that 15% automation adoption in India can happen in 10 years. Okay, and India's IT and business service is 70% of service exports according to economic survey, right? So it is saying to, adapt to this new AI thing, we should work on some, good, just shaping something good, some craft culture, some, where knowledge and human touch is there, right? So National Rural Livelihood Mission to facilitate global and urban market linkage of local products, crafts and knowledge of farmers and artisans in rural India. This is what he is suggesting, okay? He's also talking about rural youth who is aspiration centering and who generally goes for government exams. So we should pull them from such a narrow perspective of life to a mega perspective, and they should become more entrepreneurial, right? So for that, government has to do rapid infrastructures, right? 70,000 integrated pack houses, plucking 95% infrastructure gap, high import-export share items and tech-enabled local manufacturing of agri inputs. And one very important thing, national mission on edible oils, oil seeds to reduce India's 57% import dependence on oil, okay, of edible oil, so that we can work on and we can produce rural processing of native oil seeds like soybean, sunflower, boosting retail of in-vogue cold-pressed oil. So nowadays, people are buying cold-pressed oil, which is more beneficial for us and it's very expensive. So rural area can tap upon such areas where machine is not preferred and human touch and natural processes are more preferred. Okay, that is what the suggestions of this person were. Let's move to the next article. Very important article. Economic Survey has first time talked about mental health. Okay, so eliminating elitism in mental health. This comes under GS paper 2, issues relating to health sector, mental health, right? So in 2024, for the first time, mental health was acknowledged as impactful driver for Indian economy as per the economic survey. If people do not have good mental health, the economy is going to be affected. The survey also noted that 10.6% of adults in India suffered from mental disorders. Okay, with a treatment gap of 70 to 90% as per the National Mental Health Survey. WHO has given several reasons why this is happening, right? Excessive workloads, long unsocial and inflexible hours, unsafe and poor physical working condition, inadequate pay, conflicting home work demand. So people are very frustrated, right? Especially blue collar workers. This article is focusing on blue collar workers. So it is saying there's a significant disparity between blue collar and white collar, and this occupational safety, health and working conditions code 2020, this occupational safety definition should not just include physical safety but also mental safety. That is what they are recommending. Okay, so and they are also saying some major companies that are making substantial effort to enhance the well-being, we should learn from them. The blue collar company should work from them, like Health Assistance and Lifestyle Enrichment Program by Infosys. Then Wipro's Mitra Initiative, Employee Assistance Program by Tata Consultancy Services are some great examples that you can use in your answers for mental health and also in corporate social responsibility and corporate governance and ethics paper. Okay. Okay, so what she's saying that, and she's also they are also appreciating the government's Telemanas initiative, which bridges the gap between its scholars and mental health professionals. Okay, but people are not much aware of it, right? So first it is telling Satyamev Jayate to Shramev Jayate. Okay, so Shramik labors ka acha hona chahiye, as the Prime Minister envisioned in 2014. So a rights and duty-based legislative framework that balances the employer's right to get the job done with the concomitant duty to provide a safe and healthy work environment and mental well-being of workers is also very important. So upcoming labor codes should have tripartite relationship between employees, between employers, blue collar jobs, and mental experts. They should also be there, right? So awareness regarding schemes like Telemanas initiative is very important, right? Even we don't use it when we require it. That kind of suggestions this article is telling. Let's move to the next article. Delhi's gender budget, its decline and impact. Before that, this small data, very important from electric vehicles point of view. Share of EVs from total vehicles sold in Norway is 96%, okay, an unparalleled number in the world. You can give this example whenever questions come about conservation measures, automobiles, right? In 96% in 2024, Norway has sold share of EVs, right, amongst total number of vehicles. And the Europe share is 13.6% only, and India's share must be very, very less, okay? So 96% is great work. Let's come to the next article, Delhi's gender budget, its decline and impact. This comes under GS paper 3, government budgeting. Gender budgeting question has come in mains, okay? So what is the article is saying that recently the Delhi government has given a lot of freebies and cash transfers to government, okay? Cash transfers to women, okay? That does give immediate relief to families, okay? And women voters do come to vote for that, but they need more concrete measures for real changes in their life, okay? So though the gender budget has increased sevenfold from $10 billion rupees to 71 billion rupees, okay, but investments in education have reduced. So if you're not investing in education, the multiplier effect through which the women have become more capable reduces, right? So multiplier effects are great. They become literate and skilled workforce happens, right? So education of women can bridge the gender gap also, right, in employment and achieve wage parity. What is needed is not freebies but concrete steps. So what is happening? Women are mostly in the lower spectrum of jobs, okay? There's a lot of disparity when the jobs of higher echelons are discussed, okay? So most women are working as house helps, cleaners, and end of the skill spectrum, okay? So because there is low investment in female education and relatively smaller female workforce are there, okay? So high gender inequalities in the labor force. 2023-24, the gender gap in labor force participation for Delhi was 51.6%, normal. And for the gender gap in top rows was 94%. Okay, 94% was the difference between the higher level of jobs. So this lack of technical and professional education of women and concentration women of in certain areas is not good for their overall and long-term development. Let's move to the next. They will not be the part of decision makers of the country. Let's move to the next article. Now, ethanol is important because government has brought the scheme of ethanol blending petrol to be blended with ethanol, which will reduce less pollution, okay? So how will the government produce the required fuel ethanol? So this is going to change some, this is about energy. This comes under GS paper 3 energy. It will change a little bit cropping system also. So recently our Union Minister Nitin Gadkari said India will achieve its target of 20% ethanol blending in 2 months, okay? So this 1100 crore liters of fuel ethanol is required. So where will they get it from? Sugar, high grade molasses, FCI rice, broken rice and maize, okay? So ethanol distillery capacity of India has risen to 1600 crore liters because of government incentives. So sugar is expected to provide 400 crore liters, where the other fuel will come from. So India's maize production has gone higher to meet such demands. It's just about enough for traditional needs, right? So as government has imposed curbs on allowing sugar and high quality molasses, maize imports have started ramping up. So which are the states who are producing a lot of maize? They are Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh. So you comes first from South India, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra, Rajasthan, Bihar and UP. These are the states who are producing the large amount of maize. Okay, let's move to the next article. We directly will come to, so do not reduce forest land for linear projects, says Supreme Court. This can come under, conservation related verdicts of Supreme Court and judicial activism also, because when government is not working in certain area, judiciary has to become active. That is what judicial activism is. Supreme Court has made it clear that union government and state that no steps will be taken by them to reduce forest land unless compensatory land is provided by them for afforestation. This will come under GS paper 2, right? And court was hearing petition, and in the recent case, the expression of forest has become more broad and all encompassing, meaning and including 1.97 lakh square kilometer of undeclared forest lands. So a lot of forest land which was not coming under forest, because of the recent Supreme Court verdict in December 2024, more forest, the broader meaning of forest has been taken. So that's an important case in Supreme Court decision of T.N. 𝘿𝙤𝙣'𝙩 case. This case will become important in coming time. Okay, let's move to the next article. This is GS2 related, international relations related article. In term 2.0, it is better for India to be seen as independent than a US ally. Geopolitics expert Kishore Mahbubani says, okay. So he's saying this comes under GS paper 2, bilateral regional grouping that affects India's interest, okay. So he's saying India should remain independent rather than a US ally, okay. And it is his book, you can mention, so a lot of IR essay can also come. So if essay is coming, you should mention certain books, certain writers, certain experts, okay. So this is his book called Living the Asian Century. He called India wise to keep its option open. So we can be at both places with the Quad countries and also with the BRICS countries, you know. So India is partner with both, India is part of both platforms, okay. So this expert is appreciating India's initiative and saying that India will benefit more from a bigger market. So it should work in, you know, again engaging with RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which India walked out in 2019, and also South Asia Free Trade Agreement, which is defunct. India will certainly benefit out of it. And he is also saying that the way for China and India to grow their economy is to remain peaceful with their neighbors. So this is what is his, you can use his point of view also. You can name him and use his point of view in essay or maybe a GS2 related answers. Let's move to the last article. Yeah, so this article can be important from essay point of view, okay. So this girl comes from a lot of poverty and is able to win. The name is 𝐿𝙤𝙤𝙩, who recently bagged 3 titles: women's singles, women's doubles and women's team championship in the Carom World Cup in the San Francisco Bay Area. So she is the daughter of an auto rickshaw driver, 𝐿𝙤𝙤𝙩, right. It has been a journey filled with struggles for the Chennai girl. So you know, Tamil Nadu government has awarded her a lot of money, and her father, Mahbub Basha, father, coach, mentor and guide to the World Cup champion, is the driving force behind his daughter's rise, right. He struggled financially and sought help to ensure his daughters. So how people are rising from lower echelons and, you know, achieving things like this are newer kind of examples that you can use in essay. You know, you should get rid of the older examples that you have been using. These are new examples, new achievement that is being done on regular basis. So you can use this example of 𝐿𝙤𝙤𝙩. Let's go to the last article, science page. The promises and problems of using bacteria against plastic. So scientists are trying to create this, you know, bacteria who can eat away the plastics or biodegrade the plastics, okay. So plastic waste has driven biologists to look for sustainable solutions. So the problem is, over a period of 65 years since the large-scale production of plastic started, 8.3 billion tons of plastics has been produced, right, and less than 10% have been recycled. That means so many plastics is lying somewhere in the ocean, in the drainage and elsewhere, right. So 4.9 billion tons are present in the environment in some form or other. So these are waste. This is harmful for environment. It you know, it also leaches microplastics in our water, which affects our, you know, and the complete endocrinal and reproductive system, which is not good for humans. So they are trying to look for sustainable solutions. They are studying bacteria that can chew up plastics, enzymes that can clean up the waste. So a lot of entrepreneurs are starting companies to find the solutions on a larger scale. But till now, the bacteria that they have found takes a lot of time to degrade them, like around 22 months. So they are now playing with the genes and editing their genes. So this process can be speeded up. So this is what this article is talking about. Don't go too much into the detail, okay. This is an important article, life's building blocks found in asteroid samples. Okay, the asteroid Bennu. So this OSIRIS-REx. What is OSIRIS-REx? So this comes under which topic? GS paper 3, awareness in the field of space. We're constantly trying to know where you know, Earth came from, where it emerged from, how it started, how living beings are in this planet. These questions are still boggling the mind of a lot of scientists. So that's why this OSIRIS-REx was sent in 2020 which the full form is Origin, Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification and Security Regolith Explorer, which was sent to asteroid Bennu to know whether asteroid that collided with Earth billions of years ago thereby delivered water and other ingredients for life to our planet. So maybe they have given something to us through which Earth had life, right? So yes, the answer, the research has been in positive. Rock and dust samples have been brought by retrieved by NASA from the asteroid Bennu. Osiris-Rex asteroid Bennu exhibits some of the chemical building blocks of life, and it provides best evidence to state that such space rocks may have seeded early Earth with raw ingredient. Okay, so they have received 14 of the 20 amino acids which make proteins, all 5 nucleobases, the genetic components of DNA, RNA in all life of the Earth. So the detection of these key building blocks of life in the Bennu samples supports the theory that asteroids and their fragments seeded the early Earth with the raw ingredients that led to the emergence of life in our planet Earth. So you should know Osiris-Rex, asteroid Bennu, very important from prelims point of view. Okay, so that's it for 4th February. Thank you.